Good morning everyone. In this video, we are going to cover the current affairs. For mobile optimized ebooks, please install GK Today Academy app. You can attempt the quiz in this app and you can read detailed explanation. For regular updates, please join our Telegram channel. The link is given in the description box. Now we have started a new channel, Civils Academy. You can subscribe to it if you find it relevant. Now let's start. Internal Market Bill is associated to which country? So it is associated to UK, that is United Kingdom. The Prime Minister of UK is Boris Johnson. So this Internal Market Bill is designed to protect the trade between four nations of Britain after the Brexit. What is Brexit? It means exit of Britain from European Union. Recently, UK was also in news because of 10th Economic and Financial Dialogue. So this dialogue was organized between India and UK. Prime Minister is the co-chairperson of India-ASEAN Summit along with the head of which country? So along with the Prime Minister of Vietnam, Prime Minister Modi is the co-chair of India-ASEAN Summit. Now ASEAN is Association of Southeast Asian Nations and ASEAN was formed through Bangkok Declaration of 1967 and the headquarters of ASEAN is in Jakarta. As per the recent study by National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the coral reefs of which country is found to have degraded significantly. So the coral reef of USA degraded significantly and this was found out by a study of National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And as per this study, the coral reef of the coast of Florida in USA are most degraded with only 2% are remaining. Which special day was celebrated on 10th of November with the theme of Science for and with Society. So 10th of November was celebrated as World Science Day for Peace and Development and the theme was Science for and with Society. Now in the context of science, recently S&T Minister of India, that is Science and Technology Minister of India, Dr. Harshvardhan started consultation with Indian diaspora so that Indian diaspora can contribute to India's STIP, that is Science, Technology and Innovation Policy. The Union Cabinet approved PLI, that is Production Linked Incentive Scheme worth up to Rupee 1.46 lakh crore for how many sectors? So it has been approved for 10 sectors. As the name suggests, PLI is incentive linked with production. So the idea is to increase the production, to boost India's manufacturing sector and to boost our exports. It is important to note that recently fresh initiatives were announced under Atmanirbhar Bharat 3.0 and as per this initiative 1.2 lakh crore were announced approximately for job creation and to support the economic activity and to revive the economic growth in our country. So this PLI initiative is also the part of this announcement. What is ORF 3D, which was in news recently? So it is a coronavirus gene and it was discovered recently. This gene is expected to contribute the unique biology and pandemic potential and this may be helpful in the development of new vaccine. Now recently for vaccine, COVID Suraksha Mission was in news and it is an initiative for the development of vaccine by India and recently Finance Ministry announced grant of 900 crores for DBT, that is Department of Biotechnology, for the development of new vaccine. From which date the GST invoicing will be mandatory for any firm whose turnover exceeds 100 crore rupees. So from 1st of January 2021 it is mandatory. Recently CBIC issued notification in this context. What is CBIC? It is Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. So previously this limit was 500 crore rupees. Now it is 100 crore. That means the companies who have turnover more than 100 crore, for them it is mandatory to have GST invoice and it is mandatory from 1st of January 2021. Typhoon Vamco was in news in the context of which country? So it was in news because of Philippines as it was expected to hit the eastern side of Philippines. Now recently Philippines was also in news because of Shambhu S. Kumaran. So he is India's ambassador to Philippines. What is the abbreviation of IBSA, which was in news recently? So IBSA stands for India, Brazil, and South Africa. And if we consider Russia and China, then it will be BRICS. So recently, IBSA report was launched, and it was for increasing the cooperation between IBSA countries. And the report was launched by MEA Secretary. MEA stands for Ministry of External Affairs. So MEA Secretary Rahul Chabada launched this report. India has gifted 20 fully trained military horses to which country? So this country is Bangladesh. So recently, India gifted 20 fully trained military horses and 10 mine detection dogs to Bangladesh Army. So these are the trained animals which are going to be very helpful for the Bangladesh Army. Hunar Haat is a flagship program of which ministry? So it is a program of Ministry of Minority Affairs. The objective is to create employment opportunities. So recently, Hunar Haat was organized in New Delhi, and the theme was Vocal for Local. That means promote local products. Which economic measure of India grew positively by 0.2% after a contraction of 6 months? So it is IIP, that is Index of Industrial Production. Now, this is a composite indicator that specifies our industrial production, and this index is compiled and published by CSO. The CSO is under MOSPI, that is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. After WhatsApp, which social media platform introduced disappearing feature of messages? So it has been announced by Facebook Messenger. Earlier, it was announced by WhatsApp. So this WhatsApp is an entity of Facebook. In fact, Instagram is also an entity of Facebook. Tinsukia, where Oil India made a natural gas discovery, is located in which state? So it is located in the Assam. And as per the recent statement by Oil India, the Dhinjan well in Tinsukia in Assam has found hydrocarbon bearing sand. Which union ministry implements PMKUM Scheme? So this is an initiative by MNRE, that is Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Recently, this scheme was in news because the ministry issued fresh guidelines in this context. Now, what is the full form of PMKUM Scheme? PMKUM stands for Pradhan Mantri Krishi Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Maha Abhiyan. So the objective is to promote solar power. Which public sector company has successfully developed a geopolymer gas aggregate from fly ash? So it has been developed by NTPC, that is National Thermal Power Corporation. So it has successfully developed this geopolymer aggregate from fly ash. Now what is fly ash? So it is a fine powder which is a byproduct of burning of coal in electricity generation power plants, which is the only corporatized major port of India. So it is Kamarajar Port, and it is in Tamil Nadu. It is on Coromandel coast, and it is the first port in India which is a public company. Which Indian minister addressed the India Drivers of Change Conference organized by Bank of America? So Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal attended this conference, and it was organized by Bank of America. So this Bank of America is American multinational investment bank, and the headquarters is in North Carolina in USA. Under the Atmanirbhar Bharat third stimulus package, 3,000 crore has been released to which institution under IDEAS scheme? So this money has been allocated for Exim Bank under IDEAS scheme. What is IDEAS scheme? It is Indian Development and Economic Assistance Scheme. So under this initiative, the Exim Bank will provide the line of credit. As per the recent report by WHO and CDC, India has failed to vaccinate 1.2 million infants against which disease? So this disease is measles. Recently, WHO and CDC released a report, and the title of report was Progress Towards Measles Elimination. So as per this report, India is among the 6 countries with the highest number of infants who did not receive the first dose of measles vaccine in 2019. A high-level committee under the Union Home Minister has announced additional central assistance from NDRF to how many states? So it has been announced for 6 states. What is NDRF? It is National Disaster Response Fund. So this additional assistance will be provided to 6 states who were affected by cyclone or flood or landslides. It stands for National Disaster Response Fund. And then there is one more NDRF, that is National Disaster Response Force. So this one is fund and this one is force. So this NDRF is a special force to respond in case of disasters, and it has been constituted as per the Disaster Management Act of 2005. PUBG Corporation has made an announcement of relaunch in which country? So it is India. Actually, few months ago, Indian government banned certain applications including PUBG under Section 69A of IT Act. Now, PUBG has announced that it is going to launch India-specific version of this game, and it will be PUBG Mobile India. China has passed a law allowing disqualification of unpatriotic elected members of parliament in which autonomous region? So it is related to Hong Kong. Now what is the meaning of this term? See, in Hong Kong, suppose elections were organized and people elected new members in parliament. Suppose A1, A2, A3. These are new elected members in the Hong Kong parliament. Now, if Beijing, that means if China think that this member A1 is not following the terms and conditions set by China, then they can say that he is unpatriotic and therefore we are going to disqualify him. So he can be disqualified even though people of Hong Kong have elected him. Which state is to constitute anti-electrocution cells to protect the wild elephants? So this decision has been taken by West Bengal government. So the idea is to make sure that elephants do not hurt themselves because of electric poles and because of electric lines. Which potential vaccine candidate of India has completed enrollment of phase 3 clinical trials? So it is Covishield, and this has been developed by Serum Institute of India in association with Oxford University and AstraZeneca. Which state has launched Mukhyamantri Rural Street Vendor Scheme? So this has been announced by Madhya Pradesh government, and it is going to be on the lines of PM Swanidhi scheme. So this PM Swanidhi scheme was started by central government for street vendors, and now this Mukhyamantri Rural Street Vendor Scheme has been started by Madhya Pradesh government. Which state assembly passed a resolution to include Sarna as a separate religion in census 2021? So this resolution has been passed by Jharkhand Assembly, and the objective is to demand a separate column for the followers of Sarna religion in the census 2021. Where is the National Rail and Transportation Institute? So it is in Vadodara in Gujarat, and it is first and only transportation university of India. Recently it was in news because it launched 7 new programs. Which country has recently launched world's first 6G communication satellite? So this has been launched by China, and this has been launched using Long March 6 rocket. What is the revised GDP growth projection of India for 2020 by Moody's? So it is a contraction of 8.9%. Previously, it was projected as a contraction of 9.6%. So this is projection for 2020. Which organization is going to organize the Bharat Darshan Dakshin Bharat Yatra? So it will be organized by IRCTC. What is IRCTC? It is a subsidiary of Indian Railways, and IRCTC stands for Indian Railway Catering and Tourism Corporation. And the theme of this Bharat Darshan Yatra is going to be Show India to Indians. Which state or union territory has recently launched online issue of low denomination of non-judicial stamps? So this has been announced by Puducherry. Idea is to prevent public crowd at authorized collection centers. So therefore these e-stamps will be issued. That means these can be issued online, and this has been done by Puducherry administration. Which authority has approved the draft of banking regulations in IFSC, that is International Financial Services Center? So it has been approved by IFSCA. that is International Financial Services Centers Authority. So with the help of this draft, it will enable the setting up of banking units in this IFSC. It is important to note that government established this IFSCA to regulate the financial services in our country, which organization operates FASTag in our country. So it is operated by NHAI, that is National Highway Authority of India, and it is under Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, which is the first Indian city to finalize project under Affordable Renting Housing Complex Scheme for migrant workers. So this is an initiative for migrant workers, and this has been proposed by Surat. It is in Gujarat, and this has been announced under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, urban component, and this is a scheme by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. The ICJ, that is International Court of Justice, is based in which country? So it is in the Netherlands. The headquarters of ICJ is in The Hague. Why it was in news recently? Because 4 members of this court were re-elected. So these are the 4 judges from Japan, China, Slovakia and Uganda. How many countries are the members of G77 group? So as of now, total 134 countries are the member of this group, and it was established, that means this group was established in 1964. At that point of time, 77 developing countries came together, and that is why the name is G77. Now total 134 countries are the member of this grouping. Why it was in news recently? Because recently 44th annual meeting of this grouping was organized, and India's permanent representative to United Nations, T.S. Trimurti, attended this event on the behalf of our country. Which Indian city has entered a Guinness World Records for the largest display of oil lamps? So this city is Ayodhya, and it is in Uttar Pradesh, and it has entered the Guinness World Records for the largest display of oil lamps, and over 4.8 lakhs earthen lamps were lit on the banks of river Saryu. Which country has declared that it would not pay the overdue Eurobond coupon by the deadline? So this country is Zambia. See, because of COVID-19, a lot of countries are facing economic crisis, and that is why they are not able to pay the money which they have borrowed, and Zambia is one such example. So it is the first sovereign default of Africa. Sovereign default means when a country say that it do not have money to pay, then it is a sovereign default. So Zambia became Africa's first sovereign default. Which country chaired the BRICS Science, Technology and Innovation Ministerial Meeting? So for this year, Russia is the chair of BRICS. Saudi Arabia is the chair of G20 grouping. Guyana is the chair of G77 grouping for this year. Vietnam is the chair of ASEAN for this year. So this was the 12th BRICS meeting on science, technology and innovation. And during this meeting, the SCRB Power Initiative was in news. What is SCRB? It is Science and Technology Research Board. So it is a statutory body under DST, that is Department of Science and Technology. Where is the headquarters of UNEP World Conservation Monitoring Center? So it is in Cambridge. It is in UK. So it is World Conservation Monitoring Center of UNEP, that is United Nations Environment Program. Now the headquarters of UNEP is in Nairobi in Kenya. Why it was in news recently? Because recently UNEP released a report, and it is co-authored by this World Conservation Monitoring Center. And as per this report, there is a twin crisis, and it is climate change and loss of biodiversity. So these are 2 major issues in front of us. Which union ministry has introduced a new incentive scheme for 500 private academies? So it is announced by Ministry of Sports. Actually it is Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. So the ministry announced a scheme under which monetary support will be provided to these 500 private universities, and this will be done under Khelo India scheme, and this will be done for next 4 years. On which date the World Day of Remembrance for Road Accident Victims is observed? So it is observed on 15th of November. 14th of November is World Diabetes Day, and the theme was the nurse and diabetes. On the other hand, this year 13th of November was celebrated as Ayurveda Day. This Ayurveda Day is celebrated on the same day of Dhanvantri Jayanti. Former Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, Chandravati, who passed away recently, was the first women MP of which state? So she was the first women MP of Haryana. She passed away recently and she became the first women opposition leader of Haryana Vidhan Sabha in 1982. Which Union Ministry has notified draft rules under the Code on Social Security? So this has been notified by Ministry of Labour and Employment. And as per these new rules, unorganized workers, gig workers and platform workers can get the social security benefits by Aadhar based authentication. So Aadhar is a unique identity and it is issued by UIDAI. The Harani portal, which was in news, was launched by which state government? So it was launched by Telangana government and it is a portal for registration of property. Now previously, that means so far, it was for the registration of agricultural land and property. Now even non-agricultural properties will be registered through this portal. So it is a land record management portal. Which Indian company has commenced phase 3 trials of COVID-19 vaccine Covaxin? So recently Bharat Biotech commenced phase 3 trials of COVID-19 vaccine Covaxin, and it is India's first indigenous COVID-19 vaccine. Home Ministry constituted teams to check compliance of COVID-19 guidelines in the private hospitals of which state or union territory? So this is Union Territory of New Delhi. And in this context, MHA, that is Ministry of Home Affairs, constituted teams to ensure that the COVID-19 guidelines are properly followed in private hospitals. What is the theme of 12th BRICS Summit? So the theme was Global Stability, Shared Security and Innovative Growth. And for the year 2020, Russia is the president of BRICS. President of Russia is Vladimir Putin. Recently, Russia was also in news because of immunity law, and the first reading of this law was passed in Russian lower house, that is Duma. So as per this new provision, the former Russian presidents and their families will be immune from prosecution. Which financial institution has allocated $20 million to help developing countries in assessing COVID-19 vaccine? So this has been announced by ADB, that is Asian Development Bank, and this is going to be a part of ADB TASF. What is TASF? It is Technical Assistance Special Fund. Now, to make sure that every country, specifically poor and vulnerable countries, get vaccine, there is alliance and it is COVAX. So it is alliance between WHO, that is World Health Organization, CEPI, that is Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, and Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. Researchers of IIT Kharagpur have developed food packaging material using which material? So this new food packaging material has been developed with the help of cucumber peels. So this is obviously a eco-friendly and biodegradable option, and this has been done by the researchers of IIT Kharagpur. So this was done because cucumber peels have high cellulose. Which organization has commenced the testing of its regulatory sandbox on retail payment? So this is RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India. Now first thing first, what is the meaning of this term regulatory sandbox? So regulatory sandbox refers to the live testing of new product or services in a controlled or in a regulated environment. How many countries constitute the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation? So total 21 countries are the part of this association, and it is APEC, that is Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. On which date the International Day of Tolerance is observed by UNESCO? So it is observed on 16th of November, and on this occasion NGO named Resolution Conflict was in news. So it is NGO in DRC, that is Democratic Republic of Congo. Why it was in news? Because it was awarded for the promotion of tolerance and non-violence, and it was given the Madanjeet Singh Prize for the promotion of tolerance and non-violence, and this was given by UNESCO. Where is the headquarters of ICR-ISAT, that is International Crop Research Institute of Semi-Arid Tropics? So this is in Hyderabad, and it was founded in 1972. Why it was in news recently? Because Ministry of Civil Aviation permitted ICR-ISAT to use drones for the agricultural research activities. So these were the most important questions. Now we are going to cover important events. So first is PG Kakodkar. He was former SBI chairperson. He passed away recently. Next is Soumitra Chatterjee. So he was well-known Bengali film actor. A legend actor, passed away recently. Next is Jerry Rawlings. So he was the former president of Ghana. He also passed away recently. So all these three personalities passed away recently. Apart from him, recently Arjun Prajapati passed away, and he was well-known sculptor. Next is Haidarpur wetland. So this wetland is in Uttar Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh administration is working for the conservation of this wetland so that it can be considered as a part of Ramsar Convention. Ramsar Convention is for wetlands. Next is Boskiana. So it is a book on Guljar, and it is a book by Radhakrishnan Prakashan. Next is world's first children's tram car. So recently it was in news because it was started in Kolkata. So it is world's first tram library for children, and it was started on Children's Day, and it was on 14th November. So in our country, Children's Day is celebrated on 14th of November. Answer in comment box on which day World Children's Day is celebrated. Now 14th of November was also observed as World Diabetes Day, and the theme of this year's diabetes was the nurse and diabetes. Now 14th was Diabetes Day as well as Children's Day. On the other hand, 13th of November was celebrated as Kindness Day. Next is Consumer Culture Lab. So recently IIM Udaipur set up this Consumer Culture Lab. The idea is to understand the mindset of Indian consumers. Next is Pneumonia and Diarrhea Progress Report. So this report was recently released, and it was released by IVAC, that is International Vaccine Assess Center. Next is 2020 UN Population Award. So recently these awards were announced. So in institutional category, it was given to Help Age India, and in individual category, it was given to Queen Mother of Bhutan, and C is SC Wangchuk. Next is G77. So recently this grouping was in news as India's permanent representative to United Nations, T.S. Trimurti, virtually addressed the 44th annual meeting of G77 grouping. Presently, that means for this year, Guyana is the chair country. Next is India's longest river bridge in Northeast. So L&T, that is Larsen and Toubro, is going to construct India's longest river bridge in Northeast, and recently it emerged as lowest bidder for this bridge. So this bridge is over Brahmaputra river. So it will be India's longest bridge over a river in Northeast. It will be over Brahmaputra river, and it will connect Dhubri of Assam to Phulbare of Meghalaya. Next is Renewables 2020 Analysis and Forecast to 2025. So recently this report was released by IEA, that is International Energy Agency, and as per this report, India is going to witness the largest growth in renewable energy sector after COVID-19. Next is Dr. Vivek Murthy. So recently he was in news because he was the co-chair of a task force on COVID-19 which was constituted by US President-elect Joe Biden. So Dr. Vivek Murthy is Indo-American surgeon. Next is Emporis 2020 Skyscraper Award. So this was given to Lakhta Center, and it is in St. Petersburg in Russia. So this building won the first prize, while a building in China won the second prize, and a building in New York in USA won the third prize. Next is Rhonexilus. So it is a name given to new tree frog which was discovered in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Next is World Book Capital. So recently, Guadalajara was named as the World Book Capital for 2022. For 2021, Tbilisi is the World Book Capital. So it is in Georgia and this Guadalajara is in Mexico. Next is Jeevan Seva app. So this app has been launched by Delhi government. Why it has been launched? It is an initiative to help the COVID-19 patients to reach to the healthcare facilities through EV, that is electric vehicles. So idea is to promote electric vehicles and to promote transport facilities. And for this purpose, Jeevan Seva app has been launched by Delhi government. Now recently, Delhi government was also in news as Delhi High Court approved the Delhi government plan to reserve 80% of ICU beds in certain private hospitals for COVID patients. Next is Global Center on Traditional Medicine. So WHO, that is World Health Organization, is going to set Global Center on Traditional Medicine in India. Next is Wildlife Rescue app. So this app was in news as recently it was launched by the Forest Department of Chandigarh. Next is Rupadiha Nepal Gunj. So recently India and Nepal decided to construct third integrated checkpost, that is ICP, to boost the trade between India and Nepal. So from Indian side it is going to be in Rupadiha in Uttar Pradesh, and from Nepal side it is going to be in Nepal Gunj. It is important to note that already we have two ICP. One is in Bir Gunj and second one is in Biratnagar, and third one is going to be this one. Next is ban on US investors. So recently Trump issued executive order to ban the investors from USA to invest in the Chinese company that support China's military. That means as a US investor, you cannot invest in those Chinese companies which support the China's military in any way. Next is Jaisalmer. So recently Jaisalmer was in news because Prime Minister decided to celebrate Diwali festival with the soldiers in Jaisalmer, and during his visit to Jaisalmer he also visited Longewala post. So this post is in Rajasthan and it was key battle, that means Battle of Longewala was key battle during the Indo-Pak War of 1971. In fact, Bangladesh was created as a result of this war, and next year Bangladesh is going to celebrate 50 years of its independence. India played a key role in this. Next is Enforcement Directorate. So the Director of Enforcement Directorate is S.K. Mishra. Recently he was in news because central government extended his tenure by 1 year. Next is Qualcomm. So recently it was in news because it got permissions from USA to sell chips, that means 4G chips, to China. Actually, because of the trade war between USA and China, this company Qualcomm was forced to stop selling of these chips to China in September 2019. Now it got permissions from the US government and therefore it can sell these 4G chips to China. Next is NSE, that is National Stock Exchange. So recently it was in news because NSE is going to launch first agricultural commodity futures contract for crude soybean oil, and this facility will be launched from 1st of December. So this is first agriculture commodity futures contract. Next is Inter-Ministerial Committee to strengthen the capital goods sector. So recently Ministry of Heavy Industries announced that an Inter-Ministerial Committee has been constituted to strengthen the capital goods sector to increase its contribution so that we can achieve the target of 5 trillion economy and target of 1 trillion manufacturing sector. So for this purpose, the committee, that means the Inter-Ministerial Committee, was constituted, and this committee will be headed by Secretary of DHI, that is Department of Heavy Industries. Now this Ministry of Heavy Industries was also in news because of FAME scheme. Answer in comment box what is FAME. Present minister is Prakash Javadekar. He is the Minister of Information and Broadcasting as well. Recently this ministry was in news as now OTT platforms will be regulated by Information and Broadcasting Ministry. OTT platforms like Amazon, Netflix, so now their content will be regulated by the government. Ravi Belagre. So he was noted journalist and writer and he passed away recently. He was from Karnataka. Next is Indian Railways first ever food truck. So the first ever food truck of Indian Railways was started at Pune railway station. Pune is in Maharashtra and it is going to be the host of Indian Science Congress in 2021. Next is Aerial Space Mission. So this mission has been launched by ESA, that is European Space Agency, and this has been launched for the study of exoplanets. What is the meaning of this term exoplanet? It means those planets who are outside the solar system and who orbit around stars other than sun. That means they do not orbit around sun, but they do orbit around any other star. So to study such exoplanets, European Space Agency have launched this aerial space mission. Next is Vidya Balan. So recently she was in news because QMath appointed her as brand ambassador. QMath is a math learning platform. So it is a platform for maths. Next is MobiKwik. So recently MobiKwik became the first non-bank company to launch MobiKwik Blue American Express card in our country. Next is Oil Palm Project. So this project is related to Manipur government, and recently Manipur government announced this project. Now this cultivation of oil palm can be used as alternative to jhum cultivation and to the poppy cultivation in the state. So this cultivation of oil palm will be promoted, and this will be helpful for the environment as well as it will increase the income of farmers. So this is related to Manipur. Next is Turkish Grand Prix 2020. So Lewis Hamilton won this Turkish Grand Prix 2020. Next, International Children's Peace Prize 2020. So Sadat Rahman from Bangladesh won this Peace Prize. Now why he was given this prize? He had set up a social organization and a mobile app named Cyber Teens. So this platform helps in preventing cyberbullying, and because of this good work he has been selected for International Children's Peace Prize. Next is SARS campaign. So this is a campaign, and recently it was launched by Odisha government on the occasion of World Pneumonia Day. What is the full form of SARS? It is social awareness and action to neutralize pneumonia successfully. Next is Google Photos. So recently Google Photos was in news because it will end its free unlimited storage from 1st of June in 2021, and then there will be a limit on storage, and it is 15 GB, and after that means if you are going to use more than 15 GB, then obviously you will have to pay. Next is Ramsar Convention. So it is related to wetland conservation. Recently 2 more sites from India were added. So these are Lonar Lake, so this is in Maharashtra, and second one is Sur Sarovar Lake, so this is in Uttar Pradesh, and this lake is also known as Keetham Lake. So now total wetland sites in our country are 41, and we have highest wetland sites in South Asia. Next is Statue of Peace. So recently Prime Minister inaugurated the Statue of Peace in Rajasthan, and it was launched to mark the birth anniversary of Jainacharya Sri Vijay Vallabh Shureshwar. So this is 151-inch tall statue, and it is made of Ashtadhatu, that means 8 metals, and copper is the major component. So Sri Vijay Vallabh Shureshwar was a Jain monk, and to mark his 151st birth anniversary, 151-inch statue was inaugurated by Prime Minister in Rajasthan. To be specific, it is in Pali district of Rajasthan, and it is in Jaitpura. That means in Jaitpura in Pali district in Rajasthan. Next is 15th East Asia Summit. So our External Affairs Minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar, attended this event and represented India. So this was a summit between ASEAN and 8 other countries. So total 18 countries participated in this. From Indian side, our External Affairs Minister participated, and the summit was chaired by Prime Minister of Vietnam. Why Prime Minister of Vietnam? Because Vietnam is the chair of ASEAN for this year. ASEAN is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. It is an association of 10 countries. Next is QRSAM, that is Quick Reaction Surface to Air Missile System. So recently this was launched by DRDO, that is Defense Research and Development Organization. Next is 5 parties. So this term was in news because China organized a conference with South Asian countries for the COVID-19. So China is trying to use COVID-19 to increase its presence in the South Asian countries. So total 5 countries were the participant in this conference, and these are known as 5 parties. So these countries are China, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal and Pakistan. Next is Bharat Darshan Yatra. So IRCTC is going to conduct this Bharat Darshan Yatra, and it will start from Hyderabad and from Sikandrabad. And the theme of this Yatra is going to be Show India to Indians. Next is 16th of November. So it was celebrated as International Day of Tolerance. It was also celebrated as Press Day. Next is Chief Minister of Bihar. So Nitish Kumar, the Chief of JDU, took oath as the Chief Minister of Bihar for the 7th time, and this is his 4th term. So please understand the difference. This is going to be his 4th term, but overall he took oath as the Chief Minister for the 7th time. How is it possible? See, suppose he was selected Chief Minister for this tenure, then this coalition had some problem and the Chief Minister lost the majority. Then he formed the government with another party. Again, he took oath as the Chief Minister. So this is how he took oath as the Chief Minister for the 7th time, but overall it is going to be his 4th term. Next is Vital Statistics of India based on Civil Registration System. So recently this was launched by Registrar General of India, and as per this, Arunachal Pradesh recorded the best sex ratio. So in case of Arunachal Pradesh, it was 1084. So first is Arunachal Pradesh with 1084. Then we have Nagaland with 965. Then Mizoram with 964. And then Kerala with 963. These are the best performers. In case of worst performers, Manipur is the worst performer with 757. And Lakshadweep is on second position with 839. A.N. Bahaduri Memorial Lecture Award. So, Dr. Sushant Kar has been selected for this Memorial Lecture Award. Next is Masatoshi Koshiba. So, he was from Japan and he was a Nobel Prize winner. He was well-known physicist and he passed away recently. So, he won Nobel Prize in 2002 for detection of cosmic neutrinos. Next is Navneet Munot. So, recently SDFC Mutual Fund appointed Navneet Munot as new CEO. Next is Abhijit Gupta. So, recently Abhijit Gupta was recognized as world's youngest author. So, International Book of Records recognized 7-year-old Abhijit Gupta as world's youngest author. His book is Happiness All Around. Next is Renu Devi. So recently she became Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar and she is the first women Deputy Chief Minister of Bihar. Recently Nitish Kumar took oath as the Chief Minister of Bihar and he took oath as the Chief Minister for 7th time, and this is going to be his 4th term. So she is first women Chief Minister of Bihar. Apart from her, Tarkishore Prasad took oath as the Deputy Chief Minister. Next is Maya Sandhu. So recently she was in news because she is the former Prime Minister of Moldova and now she is set to become the first women President of Moldova. Moldova is a country in Europe. Next is Finance Keeper. So recently Finance Keeper appointed Rohit Sharma as brand ambassador. Next is Sonu Sood. So recently Election Commission of India appointed him as the state icon of Punjab. The title of his autobiography is I Am No Masiha. Next is Women's T20 Challenge. So Jio was the sponsor of this tournament. It was organized in UAE and Trailblazers won the title. Next is Payment and Settlement Systems Act of 2007. So recently RBI imposed a penalty of 1 crore rupee on PNB, that is Punjab National Bank, for violation of this Payment and Settlement Systems Act. In simplest term, PNB was operating a bilateral ATM sharing agreement with Druk PNB Bank. So it is associated to Bhutan, and with this bank it was sharing a bilateral agreement for ATM sharing, and this was done without prior approval from RBI, and that is why RBI imposed a penalty of 1 crore. Next is Neo Banking Platform. So SBM Bank has partnered with Pay Nearby to launch Neo Banking Platform. Now this SBM Bank is wholly owned subsidiary of State Bank of Mauritius. Next is Muh Band Rakho campaign. So this was a campaign launched by HDFC to create awareness on cyber frauds. Recently, one more awareness campaign was in news, and it is lung cancer awareness. So the month of November is observed as the Lung Cancer Awareness Month. Apart from that, on 17th of November, International Students' Day was observed. 17th of November was also observed as National Epilepsy Day. Next is first city to get ISO tag for FSSM. What is FSSM? It is fecal, sludge and septage management. So recently Bhubaneswar became the first city in our country to get ISO tag for FSSM. Bhubaneswar is in Odisha. Next is CANI SMC project. So what is this project? It is Chennai, Andaman and Nicobar Islands submarine cable project. So recently this project was inaugurated by Prime Minister. Idea is to provide faster and reliable internet and telecom services to the Andaman and Nicobar Island. Now, for this project, recently Andaman and Nicobar Islands signed an agreement with USOF and with BSNL. That means this agreement has been signed for the operation and management of this project. It is a tripartite agreement and three parties are Andaman and Nicobar Administration, USOF. What is USOF? It is Universal Service Obligation Fund. So usually telecom companies have to pay certain amount of money into this fund, and then this fund is used for the development of telecom infrastructure in the underdeveloped areas. And third party is BSNL, that is Bharat Sansar Nigam Limited. Next is BMI, that is Body Mass Index. So it is a measure of body fat based on height and weight. Recently Lancet Health Journal published a report, and as per that report, India is worst performer in youth height and in body mass index. So in body mass index, India is on 196th position. Next is Ruchi Soya. So it is a company of Patanjali. Why it was in news? Because of FPO. FPO stands for follow on public offer. So this company Ruchi Soya is going to launch FPO. It is a company of Patanjali. FPO stands for follow on public offer. So please read the difference between FPO and IPO. Next is DIPAM, that is Department of Investment and Public Asset Management. So it is under Finance Ministry. Recently it signed agreement with World Bank. So now World Bank is going to provide advisory services to this DIPAM, and this department plays a key role in strategic disinvestment. Next is Scapec. So it was a gaming startup company which has been acquired by Flipkart Group. Next is RBIH, that is Reserve Bank Innovation Hub. So recently S. Gopal Krishnan has been appointed as the first chairperson of this RBIH. Next is Star Mutual Fund Corp Direct Portal. So this has been launched by BSE, that is Bombay Stock Exchange, and it has been launched for the corporates, and it is an investment portal for the corporates. BSE is Bombay Stock Exchange. Next is Kadalu app. So this app has been launched for fishermen, and it has been launched by Coastal Security Police. It has been launched in Udupi of Karnataka. Next is Asia's first solar powered enabled textile mill. So Jai Bhavani Women's Cooperative Textile is going to be the first textile mill which is solar powered, and it is going to be first such textile mill in Asia, and this is in Parbani in Maharashtra. Next is EVA. So recently Equitas Small Finance Bank launched EVA. It is a unique saving account for women, and Smriti Mandhana, a cricketer, has been appointed as its brand ambassador. Next is Nowcast. So recently RBI published Nowcast. It is a data published by RBI, and as per this, India is in first historic technical recession. Next is Child Rights Week. So Rajasthan government is celebrating Child Rights Week from November 14th to November 20th, and on this occasion various new initiatives were announced by the state government, and the financial support for these initiatives will be provided through Nehru Child Protection Fund. So this fund was announced by the state government in this year's budget. So this is related to Rajasthan, and the Rajasthan Chief Minister launched two new schemes for orphan kids. These are Vatsalya Yojana and Smarth Yojana. So these are related to orphan and destitute children. Apart from that, Rajasthan Health Minister launched Impact app. So this Impact app stands for Integrated System for Monitoring of PCPNDT. So this Impact app has been launched for the better implementation of this PCPNDT Act. This act was enacted by the government to prevent female feticide. Last news is related to SpaceX. So it is a company by Elon Musk. Recently it was in news because it launched 4 astronauts to ISS, that is International Space Station. Out of these 4, 1 is from Japan and 3 are from USA. So recently SpaceX launched these 4 astronauts for NASA, and the name of rocket was Falcon and name of this capsule was Resilience. Name of company is SpaceX. It is headed by Elon Musk. India's first launch hardware for Gaganyaan mission. So recently L&T, that is Larsen and Toubro, handed over India's first launch hardware to ISRO, and this is for Gaganyaan mission, and it is a booster and it is named as S200. So if a question is S200 is related to, so it is related to Gaganyaan mission. It is a booster and it is delivered by Larsen and Toubro. What is ISRO? It is Indian Space Research Organization. Next is India's first 100 megawatt convergence project. So recently EESL, that is Energy Efficiency Services Limited, signed MOU with DNRE of Goa. What is DNRE? It is Department of New and Renewable Energy of Goa. So the objective is to set up India's first 100 megawatt convergence project in Goa. So it is going to be a decentralized solar convergence project. Next is Reciprocal Access Agreement. So it is a defense agreement signed between Australia and Japan for better cooperation in the field of defense and to counter the dominance of China in the region. Recently Japan was also in news because of Hanko stamp. Next is Ajay Kumar. So recently diplomat Ajay Kumar, who is India's High Commissioner to Uganda, has now been concurrently appointed as India's envoy to Burundi. Next is Action Plan for Vulture Conservation. So recently government announced this Action Plan for Vulture Conservation. It is a 5-year plan from 2020 to 2025. Actually, because of the use of diclofenac, the vultures were dying. Now, as per this action plan, the government is going to set up a system that will automatically remove the use of this diclofenac. Next is Chapare virus. So recently Bolivia, a South American country, was in news because of this Chapare virus. And this Chapare is name of area in La Paz. La Paz is the executive capital of Bolivia. A detailed video on this topic is already uploaded on Civils Academy channel in Hindi as well as in English. You can watch that. Next is ATP Tour number 1 trophy. So recently Novak Djokovic was given this ATP Tour number 1 trophy for finishing the year 2020 as world number 1, and therefore he became the only second player in the history of tennis to receive this trophy for 6th time. He is only second such player to do so. First such player is Pete Sampras. Next is World's Best Cities ranking. So recently this ranking was released by Resonance Consultancy Limited. As per this ranking, London is on top position, while New York is on 2nd position and Paris in France is on 3rd position. From Indian side, only one city is mentioned and it is Delhi. It is on 62nd position. Next is G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance. So recently this alliance was in news because WEF, that is World Economic Forum, named 36 cities, and these cities will be developed by this G20 Global Smart Cities Alliance. And out of these 36, 4 are from India. These 4 are Bengaluru, Faridabad, Indore and Hyderabad. Next is Lakshmi Vilas Bank. So recently this bank was in news because of 1 month moratorium. Now there is a limit on withdrawal from this bank and it is 25,000. That means the limit is 25,000. It is important to note that recently RBI proposed a scheme of amalgamation of this bank. That means amalgamation of Lakshmi Vilas Bank with DBS Bank India Limited. that is DBIL. This DBIL is a subsidiary of DBS Bank of Singapore. Next is Reporting India, My 70-Year Journey as a Journalist. So this is a book by Prem Prakash. He is a veteran journalist. Next is CASA Mobilization Campaign. So this is a campaign by Karnataka Bank. What is the full form of CASA? It stands for Current Account Saving Account. So it is a campaign to include the unbanked and to provide more services to those who already have bank accounts. Next is eRupaya and PaySe. So these two entities were in news as RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, completed first phase of regulatory sandbox retail payments with these two entities. So these two are the products of Natural Support Consultancy and of Nucleus Software Exports Limited. So this is a New Delhi based company, and this Natural Support Consultancy is a Jaipur based company, and this eRupaya is a product of this Natural Support Consultancy, and PaySe is a product of Nucleus Software Exports Limited. Recently, these two were in news because of the regulatory sandbox test permitted by Reserve Bank of India. Next is FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. So, FIFA cancelled the Women's Youth Tournament, and now the events will be organized in 2022. So, Under-17 event will be hosted by India in 2022, and Under-20 Women's World Cup will be hosted by Costa Rica. Please remember, these are related to football, and these are going to be women's tournament. Next is Vice Admiral John Thomas Gosselin. So recently he was in news because he passed away, and he was officer of Indian Navy, and he had served as naval officer in the Second World War, and that is why it is important from exam perspective. Apart from him, recently Bhanwar Lal Meghwal passed away. He was a minister in Rajasthan. Next is Yes Bank NeoCred card. So recently Yes Bank partnered with NeoCred to issue co-branded prepaid card for cashless payments. And next is Lilavati Award. So recently Education Minister Ramesh Nishank launched Lilavati Award for 2020. This is an initiative by AICTE, that is All India Council for Technical Education. So this initiative was launched to promote women empowerment. So the theme of this Lilavati Award for 2020 is Women Empowerment. Mridula Sinha. So she was the first women governor of Goa, and she passed away recently. Next is S.N. Rajeswari. So recently she was appointed as a member of IRDAI. IRDAI is a regulator of insurance sector, and IRDAI stands for Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. Next is P8I. So recently Indian Navy received this P8I surveillance aircraft from USA, and this was received at INS Hansa at the Goa Naval Air Base. Now it is important to note that this P8I has been developed by Boeing, so it is US based company. Next is Bhuvan. So it is a geo portal developed and managed by ISRO, that is Indian Space Research Organization. Why this Bhuvan portal was in use? Because recently UN ESCAP, that is United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific. So this commission released a report, and the title was Geospatial Practices for Sustainable Development, and this report highlighted the role of Bhuvan portal in combating COVID-19 in our country. Next is first Indian city with gender specific urban plan. So Mumbai is the first city of our country to have a urban plan with a special focus on the gender specific initiatives. And in this context, BMC, that is Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation, released a new document. Next is Francisco Sagasti. So recently he became the interim president of Peru. Peru is a South American country. So the previous president was Martin Vizcarra, and he was impeached by the Congress of Peru, and that is why new president was appointed, and he was Manuel Merino. But he resigned, and now Francisco Sagasti has been appointed as interim president till the general elections. Interim means for the time being, that is temporary. Next is MPL Sports. So MPL stands for Mobile Premier League, and recently BCCI, that is Board of Control for Cricket in India, announced that MPL Sports is going to be the official kit sponsor of Indian cricket team. Present BCCI president is Sourav Ganguly. Next is cardless EMI. So this initiative has been announced by ICICI Bank, and for this it has partnered with Pine Labs. So now you can get the benefits of EMI without using any card. So how this will be done? This will be done with the help of your PAN card and with the help of your mobile number. So this is new initiative started by ICICI Bank. Next is Param Siddhi. So it is supercomputer. Actually recently 2 supercomputers were in use. One is Param Siddhi and another is Mihir. So these 2 were in use because they were in the list of top 500 world's most powerful supercomputers. And in that list, Param Siddhi was on 63rd position and Mihir was on 146th position. Next is Jeevan Dhara. So this is an initiative started by Himachal Pradesh government. So this is a mobile van and it is going to function as PHC, that is Primary Health Center. So the idea is to provide health services at your doorsteps. Next is Mahapashudhan Sanjeevani. So this initiative is related to Maharashtra, and recently BFIL, that is Bharat Financial Inclusion Limited, signed an agreement with Animal Husbandry Department of Maharashtra government. The idea is to provide doorstep delivery of livestock care. That means doorstep facilities for animals. And for that, Bharat Finance Inclusion Limited has partnered with Maharashtra government. This Bharat Financial Inclusion Limited is a subsidiary of IndusInd Bank. So this initiative will be implemented under Mukhyamantri Pashu Swasthya Yojana. Next is Tigress on the Trail. So recently 15 prominent bikers, that means 15 prominent women bikers, started a unique adventurous motorcycle trip, and this was started from Madhya Pradesh. So they are going to visit the common tourist spots of Madhya Pradesh, and this journey has been named as Tigress on the Trail. Next is Finance Commission in COVID time. So this was a report and it was submitted by Finance Commission. It is important to note that presently we have 15th Finance Commission, head is N.K. Singh. So as per this report, the government need to increase public-private partnership in the health sector, and it need to increase the public spending on health, and the target is to reach 2.5% of GDP by 2024. It also suggested that there should be all India medical services. And last news is related to FDI for digital news media. So on 16th of November, I&B Ministry, that is Information and Broadcasting Ministry, released a new notification that all the news websites, portals and current affair providers through digital media, they need to comply with the guidelines of 26% of FDI in digital news media. That means as of now, for the FDI in digital news media section, the limit is 26%, and those entities who have more than 26% of FDI, they need to bring it down to 26% in next 1 year. That means by 15th of October till 2021. In simplest term, if you are a digital news media platform and if you have received FDI, that is foreign direct investment, and if it is more than 26%, then you need to bring it down to 26% in next 1 year. Now I&B Ministry was also in news as it is going to regulate OTT platforms. So these were the most important news. Now homework. So please read about Global Prevention Coalition, Deemed Forest and Mahajan Commission report. That was all for the day. Thank you.